So one day I wanted to fill this entire room completely up with packing peanuts. I poured out all these trash bags of leftover packing peanuts I had and then got this big bag out and topped it all off until the room was completely filled and it looked like this. It was crazy. Packing peanuts everywhere, high as the bed. I jumped in them, then got on the bed, rolled off this way, threw them up in the air and fell on them. Then I laid down with the packing peanuts and dove off into them and shimmied around. And I appeared. Let me know what else I should do with these. So one day I wanted to spend a day in my kangaroo shoes that are supposed to make you run really fast and jump really high. They're really hard to balance on, so this is going to be hard. I tried to pick up this basketball but fell into my ball pit, so I had to scooch all the way over to the couch to get myself up. And I was up. I then did some more everyday tasks like throwing away the trash, going upstairs, which was very hard, and using the bathroom, which was hard too. Just kidding. I washed my hands, and then I had to go downstairs by scooching, and then I decided to take my dog on a walk. It was pretty good at first. She enjoyed it. Here I am running back, her following along, and then I slipped on ice almost. I tried to relax in him for a bit and watch this awesome rubber band ball guy, and then I went to the gym where I was going to get a sick workout with my kangaroo shoes. I had to have someone hand me the dumbbells because I couldn't bend over, and then I did some more curls, some pull-ups, some leg raises, and then I jumped down and was feeling good and motivated, so I decided to try to hit 2 plates. I went down and, no, was stuck. But no worries, I just got up and walked off in my kangaroo shoes. So one day after buying 2 of these 30-foot balloons, one that popped to a plunger and one that I tried to air up all the way, but the wind took a hold of it and popped it. So I bought a third one now to finally try to get it to 30 feet. I waited for a non-windy day and was sure to even wear gloves so I didn't get oil on the balloon. It kept on blowing up until eventually there were striations in the balloon and it popped. Here it is slow-mo several times. So that's maximum height. There was even a big cloud of dust. Comment any other ideas. One day I decided to take this 500-pound pumpkin and carve it, make a jack-o'-lantern, and then do a giant elephant toothpaste experiment in it. And I just started off with a regular pumpkin carving kit, which wasn't going very well, so I started using a saw. Got the top off, and it was super thick. It was insane. And we began hollowing it out using a bunch of different methods. The spoon, a shovel, the crowbar. And it all only took about 20 minutes until it was looking pretty good. And the pumpkin was ready to carve. I drew a pretty basic looking jack-o'-lantern face and began cutting. It actually was going pretty smoothly with the knife that came in the kit. I was shocked. I cut out the nose, the eyes, and the mouth, which was the hardest part until it was done. It looked really good and it was time for the experiment. I poured the stuff in a bucket inside the pumpkin and then it was ready to go. And it went really fast and shut out the eyes and everything. And for not even measuring anything, it turned out pretty good. It looked really cool. I can't believe elephants brush their teeth with this stuff. So one day people were commenting how I was going to clean all these packing peanuts in my storm shelter up, so I thought I'd show a little behind the scenes of how we did it. I got some friends to help me. We got a lot of bags and boxes and just started filling them up. There was really no amazing shortcut around just scooping them all up and putting them into bags. But with the help of my friend Brennan, boxing them up and then dumping the boxes into the bags and scooping everything, after about an hour we got most of it cleaned up and then we scooped the rest into this bag like this and also picked a lot up by hand. And the rest is completely 100% biodegradable. I will be storing all of this. So one day, after trying to make spin art that turned out alright, but not as good as I'd hoped for, I decided to try again. Because everyone kept saying all I needed to do was buy more paint. So I bought more paint and this tiny canvas to try it too. I just put a lot of blue paint on there, as you can see, then green paint, spread some yellow across the edges, and I thought it was ready. It was dripping, and when it spun, paint went everywhere, and it got up to really fast, and yeah, it didn't quite turn out how I hoped. It turned out worse than the last one, but then I tried the tiny canvas, put some paint on it, spun it, and broke it. And it turned out the exact same. I was sad. So it's rubber band ball part 73, and I about knocked over a fan with it and struggled to make it over to the scale, but weighed it in at 800 pounds. But we're going to add even more bands. And the ball still looks kind of broken, so hopefully after we place all these bands, it looks a lot neater. And the ball is finally getting close to 1,000 pounds, which is what the scale maxes out at. And we kept turning the ball to make it as round as possible. And after a long while of placing bands, we were finished. And the ball does look a lot neater. I jumped on it like this. Then it accidentally moved the couch when I was trying to make it over to the scale. Brennan tried pushing it on, but failed alone. So we both had to push it, and it weighed 829 pounds. I then pushed it off and took it outside to show the cows. Yeah, they thought it was pretty cool. Like if I should keep on going. So I'm now at a rubber band ball part 80, and I'm going to add all these rubber bands to my 970-pound ball. And after this video, the ball should be within inches of 1,000 pounds. And we don't know for sure the weight because my current scale is broken, but I have a new one that weighs up to 5,000 pounds on the way. Eventually, we finished the pile, and it looked like this. It's insane. I crushed a can, then drank the rest of it, and then here's it next to my head, and here's the broken scale, like if we should keep on going. So one day, after everyone kept commenting, telling me to take my 1,000-pound rubber band ball back to the pawn shop like I did a year ago when it was only 100 pounds, I finally went back and showed the man a picture.
Wow, that looks like a wrecking ball.
It now weighs over 1,000 pounds. Should you look at it tomorrow? And I convinced him to come out to my warehouse tomorrow morning to tell me what he thought it was worth. So the next day, he came out.
There
he is. Here's the ball. Everyone's been wanting to see it for a long time. Last time I brought it in the store, like only 100 pounds. Now it's 10 times the size.
Wow.
Try to move it.
There's one big ball.
I let him move it around, and then I pushed it down to show him just how heavy it actually is. It's like a wrecking ball.
Have you thought about maybe selling it to a wrecking ball company?
I think it's like worth more, and it's like artness.
How much you want for
I
it?
thought about the price, and then told him how much I had in bands alone.
Probably a few thousand in the rubber bands.
500 wouldn't buy it?
Wouldn't be worth it.
We can load it up if you want to sell it.
I think I'm just gonna have to pass and beat the world record, but
Okay.
He didn't go high enough on the ball, so I just showed him some other stuff in the shop, including this ball and this aluminum foil ball.
That's a lot of foil.
And I said he could have the aluminum ball for 100, but he said that wouldn't be a good return. So one day someone commented that I should make a second rubber band ball, and I already have 3. This one, and my giant one. This one's huge. I can sit on it, but not sit on the other ones because they weigh 0.6 pounds and 15 pounds. Well, the giant one is 777 pounds, but I'm still waiting on a shipment of bands, so I'm going to add on to the other one. I just grabbed a bunch of random bands at Walmart, then went back to the warehouse, threw the ball on the table, dumped out a bunch of bands, and got to placing. I started with all the colored bands to make it look really cool, and it did. It ended up looking like this. It was cool. Then I moved on to these ones to make it really tight and compact. And after a while, I was done. Here it is. Rolled it off the table and compared it next to the giant ball, then my head, and then threw it as high as I could. And it's pretty bouncy and weighs 17 pounds. Like if I should keep doing this ball too. It's now rubber band ball part 78, and the ball is so close to 1,000 pounds. The scales broke, but the ball should be about 945 pounds, and we're placing a bunch more bands. We eventually rolled the ball to a higher point, that way it would be easier to get the bands around the ball. We did this for a while until eventually we were done. This band flew in the sky. The ball should be about 970 pounds, and it's huge. My friend Brendan did this, then I fell off it onto a beanbag, and like if I should keep on going. Now rubber band ball part 81, and I bought this new scale that weighs up to 5,000 pounds. It weighed the ball in at 990 pounds, and today we're going to get it over 1,000 pounds. I also wanted to try some different strategies, these big mover bands and looping these 12-inch bands. I thought looping these 12-inch bands sounded the easiest because you could just loop them together and then wrap them around. We dumped out a bunch of bands like this and then started looping. We looped for a while and decided to go ahead and place one on, and it looked pretty good, so we kept on going until we had the entire pile finished. We ended up with these 2 giant links of bands. We wrapped one all the way around it, which made me kind of dizzy, and then wrapped the other one until we were done. And the ball looked pretty good. We weighed it in over 1,000 pounds, finally. I was pretty excited. So now we just got to get to the new world record, like if I should keep going. So one day I decided to take my super powerful water gun that shoots really fast like this and fill it completely up with Vooz. I dumped out the water and then dumped Bang's Vooz energy into this bucket like this, completely full, and it smelled really good. I put the gun in it, filled it completely up, and it shot like this. And when I blasted the Vooz can, it put a big dent in it. Then I aimed, shot all 3 cans, knocked them off, then shot the ceiling, drank it, and then completely blasted that can and tried to catch some in my mouth like this, and I just got wet. So one day I decided to build a giant slingshot out of giant rubber bands that I used for my giant rubber band ball. We started by pouring concrete, mixing it up because we wanted to make it super sturdy and movable. We did this with 2 buckets, then came back the next day, and they were pretty heavy. We put rubber bands around them, but they fell, so we added supports, then began putting a lot more bands. And it didn't work, so then I tried the slingshot I had, and that didn't really work either. And I gave up for a while, but I remembered I could just make it wider. And then it worked perfectly. Look at this baseball launching. So then I had the idea to set up a target and try to hit it. We had this glass thing here, and I was trying to hit it several times. I missed, went right past it again, and then finally dinked it. But it didn't even do anything. Then I just chucked the ball at it, and it wouldn't break, so I hit it with a bat, then hit the baseball, and launched a pineapple. But it didn't go very far, so I threw it. And got out tape and a bunch of crates to try to knock it down. Fell like this, then I threw a bat and a rubber band ball and a shovel. So it's rubber band ball part 76, and I tried to prove it weighs 870 pounds, but the scale's been broken, probably from the rubber band ball, but we're just going to keep adding bands anyway. We dumped out a huge pile of rubber bands and got to placing. And this really is a lot more work than it looks like, band after band for so long. We flipped it to make it cover the blue side, and then we were done. It looks really good, and it's probably within 5 pounds of 900 pounds. Here I am laying next to it, and then jumping on it and trying to run on it. I pushed the ball, tried to get a run, and then fell, and then did it again. Kind of got one. Yeah, pretty cool. Like if I should keep going to 1,000. So one day I filled this pull-up with Orbeez in my last video, and then people wanted me to add more. And so I did. I bought like a few million more, added a bunch more water, then came back the next day, and it looked like this. And the Orbeez were a lot less watered down this time. It was just solid Orbeez for days. And when I would fall in it, I basically just got stuck, and then I tried to swim like this. Then threw some Orbeez at the camera, and tried to get on this floaty, and then skateboarded this little rubber band ball into the pool. Then I tossed it way up in the air to see what the splash would look like, and here's the slow-mo. Yeah, pretty cool. Like if I should fill this car with Orbeez. So one day I bought a ton of cardboard sheets at Walmart to build the biggest cardboard boat I could make while still functioning. And I used to make cardboard boats all the time, but I hadn't made one in a while and I felt like making a huge one. I pieced the boat together, taped it up completely, taped all the flaps down, flipped it over, taped this, and then put a bunch of sheets in the bottom. And after that was taped completely, we flipped it back over and then added another sheet, taped that down fully, and then I decided to add some Flex Seal. I did this to help waterproof the boat, and then I sprayed this on there. But I ended up coming back the next day and adding another coat anyway because it felt flimsy still. After that was done drying, it was time to test it out at the creek. I put it in the water, got in, and laid down. That was the only way I could be stable. The current wasn't very strong, so I tried to row without much luck, and then I saw a leak, and the boat started to collapse in. I kept on pushing, trying to stay afloat, but with no luck, we eventually went down, and I was never seen again. Not really, but I was pretty sad. So it's rubber band ball part 74, and the ball won't fit through a doorway. It's over 800 pounds, and it's looking kind of rough. But we're on our way to 1,000 pounds, and we're going to get it there. We dumped out a bunch more bands, and we've been using this same band for a while. They still work on the ball, but we almost need bigger bands. We kept on placing until it was done. And it's actually getting hard to jump on because it's so tall. I pulled a stray band onto it, and then crushed this box, and then pulled it to the scale. And at first, the scale was acting broken, but eventually it weighed in at 842 pounds. So, like if you want me to keep on adding bands. So one day I decided to test some water repellent spray on some stuff, including my giant rubber band ball, which I guess is already kind of water repellent, and these shoes to walk on water, this shirt, this glove, this lampshade, and this towel, these glasses, and my name. Then I came back after 24 hours to test it. The glove didn't work, and the lampshade, the water bounced right off the side that was sprayed, and not the side that wasn't. And then the shirt kind of worked. If you get really up close, you can see the water beating off of some of it. Right there. Then these glasses that didn't really do much, and this towel that actually kind of worked way better on the side that was sprayed than the non. And it made the water just sit on the surface of the rubber band ball and just run off. Then I looked at the wet concrete and my name was really there, but then I tested the shoes and it didn't work. So it's giant rubber band ball part 77, and I saw these little rubber band balls at the store, so I had to buy them all and compare them to my giant 895-pound rubber band ball. Mine was a lot bigger. I opened one up like this and compared it, and yeah, mine was way bigger. We're gonna make it even bigger, and I'm hoping in the next month I can get this ball all the way to 1,000 pounds. And we noticed the ball was kind of egg-shaped, and it made it hard to place bands, so we moved it and put wedges down so the ball wouldn't move, and placed it like this, and it helped a lot. It really helped round out the ball and make it look a lot better. We placed the final band, and we were done. And the scale still broke, but the ball should be about 920 pounds. So it's giant rubber band ball part 77, and the scale doesn't really work anymore, but it's 920 pounds. We're so close to 1,000 pounds, and we're going to get it there soon. This pile weighs 25 pounds, and we placed the entire thing, which took quite a while, but eventually we were done, and I jumped on it, then sat on it, then laid next to it, then accidentally rolled it into the bang and drank it anyway, like if I should keep on going. So one day I decided to buy 2 giant pumpkins, one 500 pounds and the other 250 pounds. We took them on a trailer to the warehouse and then scooted them off into the beanbag and then onto the floor. This one was the hardest, weighing 500 pounds. But we got them all off, and here they are compared to my 800-pound rubber band ball. We weighed this one to be sure, and it was 240. But this one was too heavy to weigh. We flipped up the 300-pound pumpkin and dumped out a bunch of giant rubber bands to try to place them all around it. We were going to see if we could cut it clean in half. And like 30 seconds after I got up, it started to buckle in and did this. I lifted up the top, and there was a wad of giant messy rubber bands and a vine. It looked really cool inside, and then I decided to dump out a bunch of little rubber bands to place around this one and tighten it up so I could make a cool ball, but it didn't really bounce very well. Let me know what I should do to the other pumpkin. So one day I filled an even bigger pool up with Orbeez. I filled the other one up with about 2 million Orbeez, and I'm going to fill this one up with millions more. And we were going to reuse the old Orbeez in this pool too, but they kind of smelled bad, so we just went with all new, and it looked like this. It was pretty insane looking and really colorful. There's millions and millions of colorful little orbs. I got in it and then splashed around, then jumped in and tried to swim across, then jumped off this mini trampoline, and I even put this inflatable zebra in there and tried to make it look like I was in a weird rap video, and fell in, like if I should add even more Orbeez. So one day I ordered this giant bubble dome thing because I saw it on the internet and thought it looked cool and had to buy it. I got it all the way aired up, and it was pretty cool looking. I opened it up, went inside, and it kind of felt like one big quarantine chamber. I was completely separated from the outside world. Here it is inside, and then I got bored and decided to put my giant rubber band ball in it. I put that in a beanbag and then chilled. So comment any cool ideas you have for this thing and I'll do them. So one day on Rubber Band Ball Part 54, I loaded up the giant rubber band ball with my brother and we drove it out to a warehouse where I would store it. I let the rubber band ball out and stopped it, and this is its new home. And then I dumped out a bunch more bands to begin working on it that night. And my friend and I got busy placing as many bands as possible as the night began to get darker. Now I'm in the process of getting another scale for this thing so I can get the exact weight perfectly. But it's massive and weighs around 370 pounds. I rolled it around, ran with it, and then rolled it back. Like if you want me to keep on adding bands. So one day I got a bunch of helium to fill up this giant 6-foot water balloon and an air mattress. I filled up the balloon until I was out of helium, and then I let it go and grabbed it. Then I tried to see what it could lift, and not really anything. Then I punched it and kicked it and slammed it on the pool, which made it fly away. Like this. And the balloon just kept going off into the distance. And the next day, it was time to try an air mattress. I filled it all the way up, and it didn't do anything. So I put it in the pool, threw the shovel on it, and hit it, and then sucked some helium up, and then so did my cameraman.
Ballpark 61.
So one day, someone commented saying I should throw these giant Orbeez at cars in the street. And I'm going to do that, but first I wanted to test some other stuff out. Throwing against the wall, dropping one, throwing one at my friend, tossing one in this pool of Orbeez and comparing them, lighting them on fire, which didn't do much. So then I tried putting them in the microwave, which didn't do much until we put it in for over 30 seconds and they all started popping. And were really hot to touch. Then I tried crushing them with this ball, look at the slow-mo, and then it was time to throw them at this car, which I think they got mad. So I just ran. So one day someone commented on my video with this giant dome thing and told me to put ball pit balls in it, so I put the whole ball pit in it. And it took a pretty long time having to air it up and move all the balls in, and then I had to move them from this thing to this thing until eventually they were all in the one big circle. And it looked really cool. I fell in it, then looked around, and then ran around, and then fell again, threw some balls at the camera, tried to run, and it wasn't that deep because it was so big, but let me know what else I should do with this thing. So I'm now all the way to part 65 of my giant rubber band ball, and here's a little rubber band ball being thrown on it, and then me pushing it to the scale to weigh it in at 607 pounds. Then we threw down another pile to keep on placing and make it even bigger, and people ask me all the time what my goal is for this ball, and I don't even know. I'm just going to try to get it as big as possible. And it always takes way longer than it looks to place all these bands, but eventually we got it done. I tried to push it with my hoverboard, and kind of worked. Then we put it back on the scale, and it was like 30 pounds off, so it actually weighs like 634 pounds. So, like, if you want me to keep on going. So one day someone commented on my video with this giant dome thing and told me to put ball pit balls in it, so I put the whole ball pit in it. And it took a pretty long time having to air it up and move all the balls in, and then I had to move them from this thing to this thing until eventually they were all in the one big circle. And it looked really cool. I fell in it, then looked around, and then ran around, and then fell again, threw some balls at the camera, tried to run, and it wasn't that deep because it was so big, but let me know what else I should do with this thing. So I'm now to rubber band ball part 61, and the ball is over 500 pounds, but I guess everyone wants me to keep on going. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. My friend Brendan and I, we placed bands for a while, then left and came back the next day to place again, and this happened. A band broke and made him launch backwards. So I had to help him back up, and then we got back to placing. And I think this is Brendan's last time placing the rubber bands on the ball. But after way too long, we were done, and the ball is huge, and the bands are way too tight. Just look at me standing on it and then trying to bounce stuff on it. And I finally rolled it back on the scale and weighed it in at 541 pounds. So, like, if you want me to keep on going. So one day I decided to fill my giant hamster ball up with ball pit balls, and I've done this before, but this time I'm going to do it with a lot more balls. I took all the balls from this dome, got in the ball, and here it was, all filled up. It was crazy. I rolled around in it, then rolled it outside, fell down, and here was the view. Then my friend Brendan tried to throw stuff at me and roll me over. Then I decided to test if I could ride this electric scooter in, and I got in with it, but I couldn't make enough momentum for the scooter to go. So I just got in with this hoverboard instead, rolled around, did a lot of spinning stuff, and then I fell again, and went outside. Let me know what else I should try.